Hi everyone, we're back with a little bit of a vlog kind of twist thing.
Hi, I'm Asenia. I've been writing the articles that you've hopefully been reading on dartcritics.com, and I'm just here to help Holly talk about some stuff.
Yeah, so essentially we thought it'd be a great idea to lay out exactly what a main stage is, what the show is about, what our roles entail and such, so everyone following up on our vlogs and articles have an idea about what the process is actually like as we describe it. Asenia, tell us a fun fact about yourself.
Fact about this show is that I originally signed on as the Dramaturg, and that was my role. But I've been taking on responsibilities and helping out where I can. And so I now have two jobs for the production plus embedded criticism. So I'm now also the script supervisor. I love it. I'm excited to do all this work. So the first thing we want to talk about is what a main stage is, because not everybody knows that.
Asenia, would you like to take it away?
Sure. The main stage is a production that Brock University Dramatic Arts puts on twice a year, one in the fall and one in the winter. So Scenes from an Execution is the fall main stage, and most of the people involved in it are getting a credit, and the director is a professor, and Molly is the associate director. She's not a professor, but she's helping out quite a bit. So I'm getting a credit for an advanced project in dramaturgy, and then there are actors getting credits and their stage managers getting credits, and we have a drafter who's actually in the other room, and he's getting a credit too.
I also think it'd be a really great idea to mention that usually there's a second year course that's offered that allows students to come into the theater and help with the production, and they do all the crew stuff, so hanging lights and costumes and etc. But this year they can't offer that course because of COVID and because no one is allowed in the building. So the production team this year is taking on a much larger role.
Yeah, and the class crew that you can take is amazing, so it's a real shame that second year students are missing out on that opportunity this year. So what's the play about?
What is the play about?
The play follows Galactia, who is a painter in the 15th century, and she has been commissioned by the state of Venice to paint the Battle of Lepanto, which is the final battle in the Christian Crusades. And so it's Italy and Europe just dominating the rest of the world, and it's incredibly violent and horrible. And so Galactia has been commissioned to glorify this battle for the state of Venice so that they can look super cool and noble. But she recognizes that violence or political gain is actually pretty terrible. So the story chronicles her creating a painting revealing the truth of the matter against all the obstacles of politics and politicians and the Doge, who wants her to create something that will glorify violence and domination and empire and all of that really brutal stuff.
Thank you for depicting that for us, Asenia. I got a very good visual. How's rehearsal going for you?
It's a lot of sitting still for me because I'm not an actor, so I'm mostly watching the work, taking notes on the work, and doing research based on what I'm seeing. So I've created a document that's all of the difficult words in the play and how to pronounce them and what they mean. And I've also created a couple little texts for the cast to read to help immerse themselves in the world and the semiotics of the play a little better. But what's it like for the actors?
So for the actors, it's kind of dependent on when we're called. So because there are some people who aren't in scenes and others who are, we have a schedule around when we are called for the rehearsal or if we are called for the rehearsal. So we'll do a warm-up for about half hour to 45 minutes at the beginning of every rehearsal, and then we'll dive into scenes. We'll also talk a lot about the logistics. So if we need any props in that moment, what props do we need? How are we creating the scene? What are the camera angles going to look like? It's a lot of that in addition to the actual dialogue itself.
I don't know if you've talked about this yet, but Galactia, the painter who I mentioned, is Holly.
And so with the role she has, I am attending majority of the rehearsals. Her character has a ton of layers to her, as does every character.
She's a very complex woman.
I don't know how to talk about her without giving too much away, because she has some very honest moments, yet she also knows how to kind of manipulate the people around her.
And you get to some quite, the word David used was ferile places.
Yes.
Which is, I think, very exciting to see that energy through a screen, because we've seen it a lot on stage, but how do you convey that to an audience on camera is really cool.
Exactly. And we've been talking so much about keeping the audience interested.
What does Zoom theater mean and how exactly does it work? Because not everyone has been watching Zoom theater. A lot of people were just like, well, theater's over.
Zoom theater is a wild ride. I believe, from my understanding, we will be recording the show live through Zoom and then streaming it for audience members.
Based on the design meeting we've had, it looks like they're trying to do stuff visually that will make it look very different from what we're used to seeing in like Zoom theater. It's not going to be like there's one convention that we use for the whole show. It's like every scene has its own set of conventions, and I think it will create something very visually interesting and hopefully like nothing anyone has ever seen before.
The production team and Molly and David have no one to look to as to where to go from. They're literally doing everything from scratch, and it's pretty amazing. Being an artist is also about taking on those challenges and taking those risks. And so I think this is something that's definitely really important for us to do as theater practitioners.
Like I've seen and I worked on a Zoom show this summer, and a lot of the stuff that's done like literally over Zoom is two actors, usually not more, doing like a straight scene to each other. This is a cast of like 20 people, so it's a lot more moving parts, and because it's quite a long show, we really have to experiment and figure out what's going to work and what's not.
Thank you, Asenia, for hopping into these vlogs. Let us know if you like this little conversation. Asenia and I are really good friends outside of DART as well, so I'm sure this is something that we both love to do, unless Asenia doesn't actually like being my friend. Thanks everyone for staying tuned for this little interview / discussion, I guess, because Asenia and I are both working on this project.